am your voice.
Your Voice America. Your Voice America.
Welcome back, folks. Bill Mitchell here with Your Voice America. This is our campaign corner special for this evening. We have this pretty much every night where we're interviewing MAGA candidates that are running to win back that House for us. We have with us Greg Musselwhite. He is running in Florida 20. That is in the Fort Pierce area, and that is about 20 minutes north of the West Palm Beach area near Jupiter and all that. Greg, how are you?
I'm doing good. That's where I live. The actual district is West Palm South all the way to Miramar.
Oh, okay.
It's
very good.
Alcee Hastings district.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Well, we know in 2016 that Southern Florida went heavily for Hillary. They had a big early turnout, and that's what freaked everybody out when the state initially turned blue, and everybody like, no. And I was like, well, it's the big dump in Southern Florida. But how are we going to win this district from the Democrats? We know we'll have Trump on the ticket this time, but how are we going to win this district from such a blue area?
Well, yes, it is a Democrat plus 31 on the Cook Index, which that's a pretty hard row to hoe, they say.
Yeah.
Our hope is that being outnumbered 6-1 in Broward County and probably 3-1 Democrat to Republican ratio in Palm Beach County, there are a lot of no party affiliation mixed in there. They actually outnumber Republicans.
Yeah.
So our hope is that when you do the math, that if we get a good turnout from Republicans and we can turn 75-80% of that no party affiliation, we only need to flip 15 to 20% of the Democrats. And I can't help but think that with the push to the left, the far left, that we're headed for socialism, that a lot of Democrats are going to reject that because Hillary, even though she got so much vote, she's much further towards center than all of the other candidates are today.
Yeah. And, we'll see what happens. Here's the thing. Hillary's making noises like she might get back into the race, but here's the thing. Right now, 75% of the vote in the Democrat primary is going towards a socialist candidate. The primary base for the Democrats, which is the most activist base, is into the socialist camp. That horse is out of the barn. If Hillary comes in, she's not a shoo-in, to win this thing. As a matter of fact, there may be a lot of unhappiness from the Bernie and the Elizabeth Warren and that whole group that says, wait a minute, you're trying to steal this away from us again. What do you think?
Yeah, and that's a good point. I feel that she's probably not going to enter again. And it seems that Biden, I just saw another poll that he's still slightly ahead. But I can't help feel that Elizabeth Warren's going to overtake him, and they're headed to socialism. And I cannot think that in our area, at least, that there's support for socialism in general.
Yeah.
It's
strange.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that so many people leave New York and California, fleeing those high tax states, and they come here to Florida and they vote for Democrats.
Yeah, we love having new people in Florida, but please leave your politics at home. That's why you left.
Right. Exactly.
Florida's great. We love it like it is. Now we have I think in the area in South Florida, we're about a 30% by population of immigrants, foreign born.
Yeah.
Now it's one of the most diverse groups of population in the United States is right where we're at in South Florida.
Yeah, I go out. I live here in Miami. I go out, and I'm like the only guy speaking English all day anywhere I go. So it's definitely diverse here. Okay, very good. But let's talk about the issues that are important to you. Your primary date is August 18th, 2020, and you only have one opponent right now?
On the Republican side, that's correct.
Okay, and that's she's also I'm assuming that's she, is also a Trump supporter.
As far as we know.
Yeah, you never know. I know, right?
There's some debate. There's a lot of people that are kind of putting themselves out there as a Republican or a supporter, but they have came along lately. And the proof's in the pudding. If you've been a supporter for all your life and those are your beliefs, great. Now, that's not to say that people can't walk away, as they say, from the Democratic Party and embrace value. And that's great. But it's hard to tell with candidates, and I've always had very conservative beliefs all my life.
Yeah.
And I was on the quote Trump bandwagon prior to his actual election. When it was very, very early, I got into some debates with family on why Trump would win and why he would be best for the country.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's talk about your top issues. Protecting the environment, Florida's waterways. What do you think about that?
Sorry about that.
That's okay. We lost you for just a second. This is the internet, folks. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on protecting the environment in Florida's waterways?
Yeah, water in Florida. It's not just it's a way of life. It's the most important part of our economy's tourism.
Right.
And myself being our passion's fishing. We've got a boat. We're out on the water. We've got kayaks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the most important parts for our lifestyle and our recreation is water quality. Because if you don't have water quality, your wildlife, fish, it's just not good. And then it gets into health problems with what we've had lately, the past few years with these algae blooms and such. Yeah. That it's just not conducive to good health. It gets into respiratory problems. Yeah. We've had pets that get into it and die. And it's not a good situation.
Yeah, so I was up in West Palm the last time they had that algae bloom there, and it made me sick for about 3 months.
Yeah, and one of the issues there with the algae bloom, there's a big debate on completing and trying to expedite the reservoir south of the lake, because when the Army Corps of Engineers way back when decided that they would divert all this water to the coasts, it was one of those things that was unintended consequences. It might have been a good idea at the time, but Mother Nature usually knows what it needs. Right. And that just was not a good idea right from the get-go. Yeah. So now we need to put it back.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, immigration reform and border control. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I work industrial construction, and anytime you have a crisis or a dangerous situation, the first thing you need to do is put it in a safe situation. Now, immigration right now is a crisis, and we've got people coming in uncontrolled, which leads to you've got people coming in that haven't had immunizations. You don't know the health situation. They bring diseases that we thought were eradicated, or they could have criminal records. So the first step is secure our border. You can't have a sovereign nation without that. Now, once we have secured the border, then you can assess the situation. How bad is it? Now, for them to deny putting a question of citizenship on our census, it baffles me, because you really it's a United States census for citizens, and we don't know if it is 2 million or if it's 20 million that are here illegally.
It's probably 20 million. Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like you come home and your basement is flooding, right? Okay, what's the first thing you do? You don't go out down with a mop and a bucket first. You go and you turn off the water.
You turn off the water first.
Yeah. And that's what we need to do and that's what Donald Trump is doing is closing out that border, and then we can reevaluate who should get a break on being here, who's worthy and who's a good citizen, and so on and so forth. But you can't do all that when you have people flooding across the border every day.
No, and that's the point. You isolate the problem and you keep it from getting any worse, and then you can fully evaluate it. Because the fix, like you said, do you need a mop and a bucket, or do you need to call Service Pro? Yeah. I mean, it's a big difference between dealing with 2, 5, 15, and 30 million people and trying to incorporate them, because the fix is going to be different. Do you deport? Do you have other plans? But you can't even talk about moving forward until you know how bad the problem is.
Absolutely. Okay, jobs and economy, last point. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, with record low unemployment, and this ties back to the last subject, everything going back to immigration affects everything from healthcare to jobs, the economy, and just our way of life. Yeah. Now, with the record unemployment, the only way to grow our economy is through legal immigration. Right. And we want to bring in the right type of people that either, they're good citizens, they're either already trained. I've heard of people that are coming over that are doctors, lawyers, and such that can't work yet because it takes so long to go through all the hoops that you have to for legal immigration. So tying back to that, the one of the ways to grow it is with that. Now, the second part is I'm a welder by trade, and I did have some college, but I realized at some point that probably wasn't for me. So I've made a very good living welding, and now I'm an inspector. I'm working on the first new nuclear plant built in the U.S. since the 70s.
Wow, cool.
So
there's a lot of money in the trades. You can make a great living in the trades. There's a lot of money in the trades. Yeah.
And what we need to do is have, instead of pushing four-year college exclusively, is give more opportunity and access to trade schools and just job training in general. Because it's great to have a liberal arts degree if you're not dependent on making a living with that degree. You know, we do need the arts, and they enrich our lives.
Right.
But to put bread on the table and pay the mortgage, you might need something more than a Van Gogh appreciation.
Right. No, that's absolutely true. Fantastic. Well, Greg, how can people reach out to you and support your campaign?
We can be found on Facebook, Twitter, and our website. All of it is named the same as Musselwhite for Congress. At the website, you will find our stances, a little bit more information on all of those. You will find interviews. I'm hoping to put this one there. And just learn more about us. And really anxious to get out into the district and meet more people. And
fantastic. Well, you're up against a challenge. You're up against Alcee Hastings, who's a super corrupt background. You know, I can't believe this guy's actually in Congress again, but, you know, he's in that Democrat blue district. And, you know, the thing is, we're always put off by corruption, but for Democrats, it's a benefit. It's a feature. They look for it. The more corrupt, the better. You know, that's what they always say. So, and it boils down to the choice. He's an impeached federal judge of questionable decision making. I build nuclear power plants. I'm an inspector. So if the government trusts me with a security clearance and to make sure that this is implemented for the safety of the plant and the surrounding area, I would like to think that my integrity is a little beyond questioning. Absolutely. Fantastic.
Visit musselwhitecongress.com and you'll find all the links and all the information you need there.
Very good. Folks, this has been Greg Musselwhite. He's running for Florida 20. Which is in the Palm Beach area, and he's got a tough road to hoe there, but it can be done, especially if Trump wins in a big red way. Folks, this has been Bill Mitchell with Your Voice America. I'll be right back with the rest of the show in just a minute.
I am your voice.
Your Voice America. Your Voice America.